Welcome to another stream here at Lightning Boat. I am Amit, you're obviously your host. Today we have Kateřina joining us. She will be talking a little bit about the game development, art education, art fundamentals, and whatever we might think about in relation to it. Obviously, as usual, I don't come prepared ever, so I just listen and then I ask my questions. So if you have any questions, that will be nice as well. So just make sure you ask your questions and we will take them throughout the conversation. As usual, please like and subscribe and please share already so more people can join in and learn from us and also enjoy our company and we can enjoy your company. Please leave a comment if you're watching so I know you are there so I can acknowledge you and say hello. And if you're watching at Facebook, it's currently something wrong, but I'll fix it once we get started. So thank you for watching and thank you. Let's welcome Kateřina.
Hello. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for having me, Amit. I'm super glad to be here.
I'm happy to have you here. I've obviously been watching you for a while, when you started and everything like this. And I thought it was a great opportunity to invite you. Obviously, I've been trying to get more women on podcast, and 2 years ago there weren't that many. Actually, it was very hard to find them. But I took a break, and I thought I'd start streaming again for this end of the year because I haven't done much. And then there's you, and there's quite a few others. I thought, okay, let's see what we can do. But you have a different topic you suggested, which is game dev, art, education, and art fundamentals. So what are your thoughts about it? What are we talking about? What's the general passion here that you want to get started with?
Well, I think a lot of us have seen some discourse on Twitter the other day about how students are approaching like education and how much time is being put into it, and like whether universities are worth it or whether it's better to go self-learning and things like that. So yeah, I thought we could talk about that today.
Yeah, why not? So it sounds like a good topic to start with. So when it comes to game dev art education, let's start with that because in there we're gonna get into the topic about art fundamentals by default, right? So
Yeah.
you have different ways of learning, right? You have asking someone just randomly for help. You have YouTube. You have Udemy. You have CGMA. You have my courses. You have university. You have colleges. They all have different expenses. So what's your viewpoint? What is your advice if someone is starting out and learning, and why is it your advice?
So I think most people are trying to get into the industry quite young. So maybe after they, finish high school, and then they're trying to see like where they could go from there. Of course, that's not everyone. A lot of people are trying to maybe switch careers and join, game dev later in life, where I think a lot of them do not choose to go to university because, they need to still work in their normal job and maybe take care of their family, whatever. But for younger people that just maybe finish high school, there's like multiple ways to approach learning and getting into the industry, right? And it's a choice of whether I'm gonna go and properly study it in university or whether I'm gonna try to self-learn. And personally, I think with the universities there is a few issues right now that might make it not the best like way to go, because I think one of the issues right now from what I've seen is that the game courses taught at universities are often not being taught by people that have worked in the industry, or maybe they have worked there quite a while ago. So maybe like they know their technical things and stuff like that, but they don't know how the industry actually works because they've never worked there. Or if they worked there a while ago, maybe they don't know like the most recent tools and the newest things that are out there in the industry, right? And it is not, let's be honest, it is not paid as well as working in the industry. So it's really hard to bring, actual proper game devs in, because unless they are very, very passionate about teaching, because it takes a lot of extra time apart from their like full-time job. And we both know that working in the industry is quite hard time-wise. Like it's an exhausting thing sometimes. So getting people to teach from the industry is not easy for the universities, and I completely get that. But I think the second problem with the universities as well is that, and this is what the discourse was about as well, is that when people get into university to do a game course, whether it's game coding, like game from the coding side and from more of a production side, or design side, and game art side, it doesn't matter. It's similar for both things. It is expected, or the students expect, that just by going through that course, they automatically are sort of guaranteed to get a job. And or at least that's how I've been feeling a lot by like hearing, a lot of maybe my friends, my former classmates, or my friends' classmates, from people in the
So that's a very good point. So let's address it before we forget that topic. So,
yeah.
because I have been teaching before as well, so not just through Lightning Board, but I used to teach at the university as well,
Mhm.
and so I have a perspective of someone who teaches, someone who's just always a student. Obviously, I'm always learning and learning from other people. It's never a day where I go like, oh, I know everything, and therefore that's it.
Yeah.
So you just mentioned that people feel like they can go to the university and they are ready. Do you think that's because the student has this perception, or the marketing done by the university is done incorrectly? What do you think?
Completely do not blame the students. I think it is being sold to the students that this is a thing, that this is how things are. Because I think it comes from other industries as well. Because, for example, if you go to study medicine, to be a doctor, when you finish that school, you are pretty much guaranteed to get a job as a doctor, right? Same as maybe if you're a lawyer or like more traditional industries. But for game dev, there is so much that the school will not teach you, because the industry is just so vast, and so there's just so many things to learn. And there's no way that school is going to teach you that in those 3 to, I don't know how long you take the course, years, like and I think it comes down to the portfolio as well, because when you go to uni and you learn all these things, and maybe you get assignments and you train on them, I have very rarely seen people that would have a nice portfolio out of those assignments. And at the end of the day, the thing that gets you the job in the industry is the portfolio from like 90%.
Okay.
And you don't get it while you're in the university, like just in there going to the courses and doing the assignments, is my personal view.
So it's a very broad topic we picked, and it's very interesting and fascinating. For me, is for someone who started as a tutor, and I worked my way up as assistant professor at an actual university, and I have multiple views, from dealing with students to the industry, to working in the industry, and I understand all points of view. I like to think, but at the same time, so you're saying, okay, so in short, you're saying you don't think university is the way to go when it comes to learning something to join the industry, or are you saying it's not enough?
I think it's not enough, because I know that a lot of people are maybe having a hard time self-learning, because maybe they don't know where to start, they don't know like what goals or what things to learn, or maybe they struggle with like setting up a proper schedule or system for themselves. So this is why universities are really helpful, because they give you this and they give you a base to build on. But unfortunately, just going there is not enough, in my opinion. Like you need to spend some extra time yourself on like extra learning, which on the basics that you got in the university. So it gives you like a nice idea what maybe you should like focus on, what you should study. And with universities, it also gives you like a very broad view on different roles that you might be taking. An environment artist is not doing the same thing as lighting artist or as a room artist. So it's a nice way that maybe you try a little bit of everything, and then you have much clearer idea of what you would like to do. But yeah, unfortunately, people do need to spend. Thank you. Sorry, I got distracted by the comment.
Yeah, it's fine. It's natural conversation, don't worry.
Yeah. So yeah, you need to spend some extra time in the evening, and of course, it shouldn't be in a way that you burn yourself out or that you spend all your time on it. Like, we all need a nice work-life balance and feel happy and comfortable in our lives. But yeah, you do need to spend a little bit time extra.
So there are a lot of options there, basically, right? You have to spend more time. But let's say you don't go to university, right? There is no university where you are, or it's too expensive. So we have to cover all bases now, because now if we're going to talk about, we need to cover all bases. So let's take me, for example. I went to a Bachelor's of Arts in Teesside, which is up north in England. And a lot of us come from Teesside. It's a very decent school, and it prepares most people for it. And you, at least from a programmer's point of view, my friends who are programmers, pretty much most of them, they ended up with work, because programming is kind of like becoming a doctor, I suppose. There's a there's a clear frame, there's like a system in place, but when you go into art, it's very subjective. There's quite a few things to learn, and it takes time to develop your eye. It's not something you can develop very quickly. It takes time, it takes experience, which is one of the things. So, but in my case, before I joined and after I joined, I did modding. So I did like Unreal 2004 communities, level design, which is what I was originally doing back then. And I was doing Neverwinter Nights 2. So we were doing like level design for the biggest communities on that. So I was doing other stuff to prepare myself, because I do agree in the sense that it is not enough to do just the course. I'm not saying the teachers don't know what they're doing. I'm not saying that the schools are bad, but I'm saying, because there's so many people who learn the same thing, I think you need to do more than whoever you're studying with from a competitive point of view.
Yeah. That's a good point. Yes. And also there's just so much, right? Like there is always something new in the game industry, and because like the tools are always evolving as well. Yeah. So it's a constant learning.
It's true. When I was learning, there was no substance. There was no all of this node based. There was nothing. And then I was doing other things in game production instead in the beginning. And when I came back, I was like, "What is this? It's all node based." No, and no one taught me about this. So, and then I went into lighting, because I thought, okay, lighting I can deal with, nothing else. So let's say that, okay, so you have a course system, you have online courses, and arguably there are cheaper alternatives that still cost a bit. We're talking about like $15,000 to $55,000 equivalent to, which is still cheaper than the $100,000-$200,000 that the big ones do. So let's say you pick that one, but you still have to spend X amount of years on those complete curriculums. So that we're talking about 3 to 5 years, depending on which one you pick and where you pick it, right? I'm not going to mention any specific ones, because there's quite a few out there. But let's say you pick one and you spend $55,000. Do you think that is going to be up to date and enough compared to a university? Just to make it easy for you, it was or is being developed by industry people.
Yeah. One thing to keep in mind is that not everyone who's good at their job is a good teacher. So I've had been taking part in a couple of courses where it wasn't all that great, just because the person wasn't really a good teacher, or it wasn't very well structured or whatever. So, but that can happen in university as well. Like, it can happen anywhere really where you're learning. But I think when these things are developed by the industry professionals, you kind of have a little bit more guarantee that everything's going to be like up to date, or like up to the standards that are being right now in the industry, because the people work there, they know what their recruiters are looking for, what they are looking for, maybe if they're seniors or leads that are hiring people. And I think now that you spend all this money on it, you probably will want to like be a bit more diligent than, for example, in my country, where university is for free. You don't pay anything for it. But I don't know. Personally, I would always choose the self-learning course way rather than a university way. But as you said, it's just so expensive that not everyone is able to afford it. But then maybe you can pick a few things that you are trying to focus on. So in my case, like the basic art fundamentals and things like that, I have learned them from like free sources, because you have YouTube, right? And you have books and whatever. And then once I kind of knew what I wanted to do, like lighting and more of a VFX kind of side, then I kind of picked those courses, which wasn't in the end that much money. And they were so much more like in depth and specific than in university. Like no one would ever teach me lighting in university. Yeah.
That's true at the moment,
Yeah.
unfortunately. So, because this is interesting, because a lot of people are, when they think about courses, they think about learning, they think black and white, in my opinion. They think, okay, I want to learn this, I want to get a work, because that's really the intention of most people. They want to get job, right? But then there is their personality, right? So, my opinion is, if someone goes to a university, they have other qualities that's not necessarily technical, but it's noticeable. They picked up other skill set, such as
Yeah,
soft
that's
skills,
true.
time
You're right.
management,
Yes.
that you wouldn't necessarily learn if you're just at home chilling and watching YouTube.
Yeah, that's fair.
Stuff like that. What are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, as I said, you're absolutely right. Like, university kind of forces you to be a bit more diligent with your time schedule and the goals that are set for you. Also, like, you need to talk to other people, and if you have projects that you need to work on in groups, that teaches you working in a group soft skills that you wouldn't learn when you self-learn. So yeah, I completely agree with that these soft skills are a thing that you're gonna pick up probably a lot more in university than if you are self-on.
Because again, we agree that play the devil's advocate. So,
No. You're completely right. I agree. Yes.
Another thing is, and this is because I teach and I do the research for teaching, and this statistics is on Udemy, that most people who buy courses similar to the ones you bought, I think that's something to do with personality and self-discipline in your case, which not everyone has. But
Yes.
a lot of people, they buy courses and they buy quite a few of them. And I think the statistic was only 37%, I think, actually finish the courses they buy. So it's not a lot of people. And unless you have a mentor, you are more likely to fail the course or not finish it. The minute you have a mentor, it increases a little bit in terms of success rate and follow up. So even if you have an industry professional, such as yourself or me or we both, maybe it's like a package thing. Even if you deliver that, the main problem I have seen as someone who teaches is it doesn't matter really how good I am or how well I explain something if the person is struggling with other things in life like money
Yeah.
or there's family or other things. So that's something I also think is very important when you're a teacher, is to pay
Mm.
attention to that and care for it, like pastoral care we kind of call it, which I think a lot of university and or even mentorship, they don't necessarily focus on that challenge and finding out why is the student or person not keeping up with the stuff, what's really stopping them from really progressing. So the point here is that this topic is really complicated because there's so many nuances to what makes, for some people university works, of course, so some people mentorship works, but you have to know what you want. So in your example, you said you knew what you wanted, you tried a little bit and then you kind of nitpicked. That shows that you have self-awareness, and obviously you successfully did a couple of courses, including mine, marketing, uh, um, which means you have the self-discipline. But unfortunately, not a lot of people have self-discipline. I also pay for pretty much every lighting course that comes out because I'm curious, I want to see, and I will admit most of them I cannot watch because the pedagogy and structure isn't on the level that I would understand and watch. Even if they're amazing at what they do, probably better than me, I can't finish the courses because it just doesn't. They might have the knowledge, they might be great, but as you said earlier in the conversation, you might be very good at something, but it doesn't mean you're
Not,
good at teaching
yeah,
it. How do you
definitely.
avoid that? How do you find out that part then to help people? Let's say some people want to find courses and they also want to finish and learn something. What's process did you use to find a course? And I guess why did you pick my course? Like I'm a nobody in comparison to a lot of people. So what made you pick my course? What's your research? How do you know?
Let me just say a quick note to a thing you said. I think it's, if you are choosing a course, if you can, if it's not, if you have that extra budget, always choose a course where you actually have a mentor with it. So you have like video courses, and then you have video courses where a person is reviewing the homework, or you have like a weekly call or monthly call or whatever with them. Those courses are always 100% better, because having that person giving you face-to-face feedback is so much better than you just learning. That was just a note to a thing you were talking about. But picking up courses, well, in your case, I was just looking into like a very specific topic that I wanted to learn about, and I wasn't really able to find much else. And then I saw the course that you're doing, and I saw that you're talking about it, and I just looked at the structure of the course, and I saw like, okay, these are the things that I really want to learn. Let's go with it. Like you never 100% know if it's gonna be good or not, unfortunately. But when if it's more popular courses, like there are sites that are very, very popular and are like the standard for video game courses, or
She's saying CGMA. It's okay.
I don't yeah, or no one, like any of these. But with Udemy as well, whatever. You can always kind of maybe ask around, because there have been people that took the course before, right? For example, you have people in your community, or like CGMA has their own community, like and on Udemy, I think there are even like you can score the courses based on
Oh,
how good they're.
that's so scary. That is so scary when
Yeah.
people you never know the reason for it. They're like, why
Oh
did you just
yeah,
put the
true,
review?
true.
Oh.
But I think
So,
with a lot of the
but you
courses you can ask around. Yeah, a little bit.
but you kind of answered the question very well the first time as well. I think is in your case, it solved the problem. You were looking to solve a problem, and
Yes.
the course was clear in solving that problem, right? And I think that's one of the key things for people to kind of find the courses they need. But let's make it a bit complicated. We'll go through. Actually, let's go through some of the comments, not questions, but it's comments. Filippo says there's so much content online today, but as a professional, I also see there is so much bad content aimed to beginners. Even courses and universities can sometimes teach completely wrong things. And he continues with, for someone who's not already decent skill, it can be very tough to wade through the sea of content to valid teachings.
Yeah.
I've taken many online courses, but what I really want to do is experiment on things on my own. Marcus says also weekly, monthly check-ins on programs will spike the percent of completion. It pushes you more, and you want to end up being embarrassed of doing a bad job at the task. That's very true. And for some reason, someone believes early gamer believes you study a lot of photo references.
Actually, not true at all. I don't really use a real life photo reference. I use a lot of concept art instead.
Yeah, if I had a soundboard, I would be going boo mistake. But I don't, not yet. Hey Daniel, thanks for tuning in as well. So
Hello.
there's obviously we have quite a few people viewing and commenting. So let's talk about game from a gamer education as well as from a lighting point of view, because you and I both know just learning the technical stuff, just learning the artistic stuff isn't really enough to really be an amazing lighting artist. The more you dig into it, there's more stuff, there's more things you have to learn, and then people will tell you, oh, go learn cinematography, go learn photography, go learn painting, go learn composition, go learn color grading, and then the list just becomes endlessly long. What are your thoughts about that? How do we navigate this field and this area of mind when there's so much you need to learn? But what do you learn first, and what's the order of topics you suggest to learn?
I think, well, first of all, I think people often forget that just looking and just watching a video or reading about a topic does not really teach you all that much. It does you get it, but then you need to actively go and practice it. So like me watching a course doesn't do all that much to me, does it? Like, I didn't need to go into Unreal and try to relight a scene with the things that I've learned. So that is one thing that I think people often forget, because I used to be like that when I was younger as well. Like, I watched dozens of videos and I was like, yeah, I know stuff, and then I realized I don't, because I don't know how to use them. But you mentioned like cinematography, you mentioned color grading, you mentioned all these things, and all these things are based on the same principles with art fundamentals, because color grading is based on whether you know how to use colors. Cinematography uses a lot of colors, and it's based on how you use colors. So the best thing is to go and learn color theory for these things. So go to learn how how emotions are linked to colors, like what colors spark what emotions. Learn how we can put colors together in a harmonious way. So you have like split complementary, you have a triad, you have all these things on the color wheel, and that is like the basic thing that all these other parts that we can learn spark from, right? Because that is what color grading that is what color grading uses, that is what cinematography uses. Another art fundamental thing, values and contrast. Like, know how light and dark can change contrast, how lighter scenes look, how darker scenes look, how we can sort of point our view at certain things in the scene because they're darker, lighter. That's all like very, very basic value fundamentals. And then all the other things are based on that. Like cinematography, again, is based on this, on knowing your value in the scene. Yeah. So instead of going to like very specific, like when you're starting out, instead of going to like very specific topics, like about cinematography, about like lenses, about color grading, again, about, I don't know, what else could there be, different like weather types or like time of day types. Forget all those, Google what the art fundamentals are, and then go learn those separately. Like for lighting artists, you probably won't need, you know, anatomy, which is another like art fundamental as well, but maybe you could. It's pretty cool, it's interesting. Like, and a lot of things similar in lighting are, I think, are similar with concept art. I actually wanted to be a concept artist before I was a lighting artist, so a lot of my knowledge comes from there, because they learn the same things. They learn about what's the word? Composition. Yeah, that's the word. They learn about composition, about values, about colors. The triad. Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny though. I don't know if you noticed after doing lighting for a while that when you look at concept art, you might go and look at it because you go, oh, it's missing some values, it's missing some color. Even when you look at concept art, even though you might not know how to do concept art practically, which I don't know if you know or not. But
Not much.
I had a couple of classes at CGMA, funny enough, and learn the basic and stuff, but you forget very quickly, right? But I noticed, you know, even when I'm looking at other 2D releases, I've done painting classes, which I packed down, which also helped me understand value and color. But the interesting with painting is it does a bit differently, because there's more break of science in painting, because they'll add the opposing color to make the contrast, and you're like, and when I was doing the painting, I was like, why are you adding purple? It's cold, it's warm. I'm like, what do you mean? That's not how it works. I was so confused, but it was useful to challenge my mindset, but also improve my mindset. And then I went to DaVinci Resolve, is how I used to learn a color, because that's how my brain used to train to see colors. I would take images in color grading software, DaVinci, and I would look at the graph, and I would muscle memory my brain in seeing these are the colors in this image, and I would look at the graph, because I can trust the graph, but I can't trust my eyesight necessarily.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Histogram and exactly, like seeing how many like how much red you have, how much blue you have. Yeah. Definitely helpful.
So a question from Filippo. Let's take it while we multitask our conversation. Question for Kateřina. What's your thought on physical-based lighting, specifically in the video game field?
Good question. I think that it really depends on what kind of art style you are going for. So for example, let me think of a game. For example, Overwatch, or what else is there? Jesus Christ. I don't really play games all that much. But yeah, Overwatch is a perfect example. Like a very stylized game. It's like it has that like painted feeling, very nicely stylized. They will probably not be, in my opinion, benefiting from physical based lighting as much, and might, tweak the values a lot of the times just to get that nice stylized feeling. But the good thing with physical based lighting is that you will always get a good result if all your light is physical based, and all your materials and textures are physical based. You can predict a lot more what is going to happen when you tweak things, when you change things. I used to not do physical based lighting at all. My values were all over the place. See, this is why I took your course. No, but like my exposure was all over the place, like insane, ridiculous values. But the things looked good because it was all over the place everywhere. But if I changed something, or if I added something really physical based in the scene, then things would really start breaking, because it would be so unpredictable how it acts. But if you're using physical based lighting, if you know that maybe noon is like EV14, and it has like sunlight at noon is this value and that value, and the shadows are supposed to be this dark and that dark. You can predict very well what's going to happen if you change a couple things, and you can kind of take scene with one lighting and put it into a different scene, and it's going to stay all consistent because your materials and your textures are physical based, so the lighting is going to react properly with them no matter where you put it. That being said, your scene needs to be physical based as well. You can't have wood with like very, very smooth roughness.
That's a good point, and that brings us to another thing another topic of learning, which is the materials, right? It's definitely something else in another field. I would say either VFX or materials, probably materials first, because if the materials are poor,
Yes.
your lighting will be poor, and generally speaking, when you do I don't know, at least for in game studios, you would think that the people specializing in this would do it correctly, but most lighting artists, when we talk in private, we admit that is not always the case. So you need to be able to let's say you need to be able to investigate the 3D artist or the material just in case, because lighting gets the blame quite often. If there's a problem, it's like lighting. If there's something,
it's very because we come quite late in the process as well, right? We are the people that come and like make things look really nice and put like the cherry on top of the cake. But at the same time, you put something in and stuff breaks and suddenly looks horrible. It's very easy to blame it on you because you were the last person touching it, right? While it might not be you because I don't know, this emissive is too bright or that thing is too metallic or whatever. Yes.
Definitely you. If we work together, I'm blaming you. I'm not taking the fault. What are you saying? Nonsense. Just kidding.
Yeah. Sorry, go on.
Daniel wants to give you a compliment. Going to Katerina's art session, really love some of the shots in Baldur's Gate. I'm doing cinematic lighting as well now, so we'll for sure watch the whole stream back. We have another question, unless you wanted to add something to it.
Just a little comment about like the materials and the VFX. I think you already maybe had a stream last week about this. I think you had someone talking about knowing different roles as a lighting artist, or is that gonna happen?
My dear friend, I've lost track of what I'm doing. I'm just going with the flow.
So sorry, the viewers. It's either gonna happen or it already happened. but it's I think it's very, very important as a lighting artist to kind of know, not just as a lighting artist, as a game artist in general. It's very important, in my opinion, to know at least a tiny little bit about the other people in the pipeline. So know at least a little bit about how modeling works, how UVs work, how light maps work. Know at least a little bit how you can build a material in Unreal in like the shader graph. Know at least a little bit about how you can tweak colors on a VFX, because maybe then you need to put a fire in, but you need the fire to be green because it's like a very atmospheric green kind of setup. And it's going to speed up your work and everyone's work if you kind of know how to maybe go and tweak that fire to be green. And it's going to be helpful for your projects as well, because you don't have a whole team of artists to help you out when you're working on portfolio and personal pieces, right? So like you can tweak things a little bit yourself. And yeah, just understanding what other people are doing slightly bit better makes the conversation with them a lot better as well, I think.
Basically, what she's saying indirectly, if you see some green flame in Baldur's Gate, she's the one who touched it, basically.
No, I haven't touched that. But if you see a green flame in my art station in my personal post, I have tweaked that, yes. I have a very specific portfolio piece in mind where I've done that.
Exactly. Just teasing you. Early Gamer says, do you think that is we're kind of answering this question, but we'll double check now. Do you think that is mandatory to get a good grasp and understanding on shading and textures to be a lighting artist?
Depending what good grasp means to you, I guess. Because you definitely do not need to be an expert. Like I am, like shaders are a lot of math and I am not mathing very well. And like shaders and materials can get super duper complex. But I think it's important to like know the very basics in terms of like what does a normal map do, what does an AO map do, what like how you tweak specular and roughness, what does that mean? Maybe get your hands a little bit on Substance Painter if you can, just to see like what you can do and how things work. But if there's a thing broken in a scene, or if maybe you want things to be a little bit different, it is not your job to fix them or to do that. That you will go to someone else to do that job, right? But it will definitely help you to kind of notice when things are wrong, or it will help you in personal projects because maybe you will want to tweak things a little bit different. Yeah.
Cool. Now, important information for everyone. If you are one of the people who are watching this stream and you're still watching, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share, and appreciate the content we are providing you today. All right. So, next question. Okay.
The music, the cherry on top.
So, Juan says, I struggle with external need to polish things too much. A lack of direct light in some zone, for example, may look flat to contrast with another beautiful zone. And I think that's okay sometimes. So basically saying that you should have some creative freedom that might, override some of the fundamentals. So I guess in this context, we might agree that if you know the rules, you can break them. I guess is the conversation here.
Yeah, and I think what Juan means as well is that sometimes when you're working on a thing, you stop seeing the forest for the trees. So you get focused on a thing way too much, or you want to polish it way too much, when you might not have the time anymore, or it might not be really worth it. I think in general, the question you want to ask yourself is, well, at the beginning, you want to give yourself like a specific schedule where you're going to be working on this, and once you're past that, you're just going to like wrap it up and call it a day, because we all could work on a scene forever, right? Like there would always be something we would like to do and change most of the times, or at least perfectionists like myself, and I guess Juan as well. But I think one of the important things to ask yourself is how much is an area going to be visible, and how much for personal projects. And for work projects, you want to ask yourself, like, how much time is the player gonna spend here? Because you could have a very exploration based area where the players are going to be free to roam around and spend a lot of time there. So you will probably want to polish that area a lot more than maybe a chase sequence where the player is going to walk there really, really fast. They're going to be there once and they're never going to come back there. So that gives you a little bit more freedom, let's say, towards how detailed or polished you want that place to be, just because the player is not going to be there as much as in an exploration-based area.
Which brings us to a relevant question, I guess, from Filippo. He asks, what's your workflow when you approach an environment to build it?
So, first of all, I think the good question is you want to see what kind of emotion you'd like to bring into the scene, first and foremost. Do you want the scene to be sad? Do you want it to be happy? Do you want it to be during daytime, nighttime? And then you go and you start picking up references for the mood you want to do. And for the colors, you might want to like associate with that. And whether it's photo references, whether it's concept art references, concept art is great in a lot of times because the concept art is already went and solved the problem for you. The concept art already figured out what colors you should use for the mood. They already figured out what the day, time, and the weather should be like. So concept art is fantastic for references. But But yeah, you gather references based on what you like your scene to feel like, and then you start placing things, and it really depends on whether you are looking at a specific shot or whether it is a cutscene, which is basically specific shots after each other, or whether you want this to be a playable environment, because those are lit slightly differently, because you cannot fake and cheat in playable environment as much as you can with a single specific static shot. And yeah, then you just experiment and see if things work or not, and you try to always go back to your references and see if that works. I guess would be the best thing.
Yeah, and you're starting to get funny questions now. Do you use any special tools, any secret tools? Do you have any special power, Kateřina?
Unfortunately, no. I wish.
Oh.
No, really, the tools I use is if it's for work, then it would be the whatever engine the place uses and whatever tools they have. But they usually do not have any special tools, guys. Most engines are pretty much similar, and they are like, people ask me a lot, like, do you if you learn things, like, do I start learning things in Unreal or Unity? Like, which one do I pick, or Godot? No. If I learn in Unity, am I going to be able to work in Unreal Engine? Am I going to be able to work in, I don't know, what else is there? The one for Crytek, CryEngine, that's the one. Yeah. And the answer is yes, because they pretty much all work on the very same basis. The tools are just slightly different. Maybe they work a little bit different tech-wise, but it's all very similar. And yeah, for personal things, I just use Unreal and Photoshop if I need to color grade or do a lookup table. That's about it, really. DaVinci if it's a video.
So, in terms of, so do you think, because there's different roles, right? So you have, you have what most people start out with. You start as the lighting artist, and then you get, obviously, most people want to become mid and senior, and some people might become lead or principal, and a lot of people, they're happy just being senior as well, because further up is stressful for them.
Yeah.
What do you think about learning more technical stuff for like technical lighting artists, or at least having the skills of a technical artist? Do you think it's becoming more important to pick up those skills besides just having a beautiful image? Or what's your thought about those skill sets, which includes optimization and knowledge?
I think it is very good to know those things, because then it kind of prevents you from maybe doing some things that are gonna break other stuff. Like, for example, if you know a little bit about optimization and in general how like maybe shadows work, or how like lighting complexity works, how light maps work, then if you're not gonna go and you're not gonna spam 100 lights in a scene, and then the tech art person is gonna come and be like, what the heck, man, like you cannot do this, like go and change your scene. And you're gonna be like, oh, but I made it so pretty and I now struggle with deleting the lights. So yeah, so it definitely helps with preventing a lot of accidents that you might not want to happen. For me, tech art is so interesting. Like, I love tech art related stuff. I just like going into things and picking them apart and figuring out how stuff works. Not everyone is like this, but in general, having at least a little bit of like understanding of how shadows work, like cascades, for example, like how I can go in engine and check how many FPS I have, how many draw calls I have, knowing what draw calls are really, how I can lower down the complexity, if maybe I can change one of my lights to static or movable. Like, understanding these basic technical things is gonna really help you out. You don't need to know things in depth. That is not really your job, in my opinion. That is the tech artist's job, to go and help you out with like a complex stuff or with optimizing things. But yeah, as I said, if you know that you cannot spam 100 lights in a scene, you're gonna have a lot nicer life as a lighting artist.
Philip was adding, having a technical background also helps when debugging lighting issues within the engine. I would add on top of that it's kind of similar with, if you have a different art background or you come from somewhere else, you can have an
Yes.
advantage. I have a friend who had trained over at Lighting, but he is a real lighting designer, so he does actual lighting in real world. He puts the light, he thinks about the luminance, and he uses different software, but he goes through the same process, realistically speaking, about where the light goes, the color, how does it make someone feel, where do you go walk. And he also understands like the light poles outside, why is it certain height, light pollution. He understands how cities are lit, how museums are lit from outside, why, and everything. So while I was teaching him, he was teaching me the stuff he knows, and I was like, okay, this is amazing, right? So I would say anything that is maybe not obvious, I have learned, is very useful. It depends on how your brain works and how you pass on the knowledge. But that said, I also know a lot of people who will not share the knowledge they know because it's a very competitive industry. They're afraid of someone taking their work, getting an opportunity they otherwise would have gotten. So it is an interesting community. I've had people that I know who say, no, I don't want to teach this or that openly because then my job is in danger. I don't want to share trade secrets. So so there's a lot of these challenges, but I think any knowledge is useful. It comes down to your ability to incorporate it in a way that makes sense to you.
Yeah.
That's relevant. What's your thought on that, Kateřina?
Yeah, agreed. You mentioned real life, like how light works in real life, and I think that's super important. Or like, you can kind of get about without it, but knowing how light works in real life is so useful. Knowing like why there is, when you go to a theater and you have a spotlight there on the stage, why is there a cone? Like we all know there is a cone, but not everyone knows why. Not everyone knows why clouds are super duper dark before it rains. So things like these help you understand so much more what you're doing from a visual perspective as well. So yeah, try to learn a bit more about how light actually works in real life world and like what it's based on. It's really cool. But
I think
yeah, sorry.
it's interesting. I agree, because I was just thinking about how people casually use, and I can be picky on it, but I have learned to ignore it. But how people casually use fog, exponential fog, and clouds. But if the reality is, clouds, they're the different type of clouds, and
Yeah.
they merge at different time, different seasons, even different part of the world. Understanding that is a good idea if you want realistic cloud that makes sense to your environment and country and setting. But also how fog works. There's different type of fog. They also emerge at different condition. Is wet? Is it dry? Did certain things happen? But I've noticed lighting artists, they use it very like creatively rather than actually respecting the law of physics. Now, I don't think it's that important, but once you learn it, I at least
You can use it. Yeah. It depends on what you're trying to do. Like, are you trying to work on A Last of Us, which is quite realistic visually, or are you trying to work on, I don't know, Diablo, which is quite atmospheric and very stylized in a sense, where you can be a lot more creative. So those are two different things. But knowing and understanding how fog works in real life, for example, is definitely going to help you a lot when you're going to try to do more realistic stuff. Yeah.
Oh wow. Who's the question for, Mr. Juan? So you work as a lighting and also art direction. Oh, that's true. How's that work in terms of time? It's yeah.
Man, very, very tough question to answer. I am not a parent, so I absolutely cannot understand how you're doing it, Juan, as a parent as well. Where you like, does your day have 30 hours or what's going on? But yeah, it's, I think it is a lot. It depends a lot on where, at what stage your full-time job is. So, for example, before release of BG, I was very, very busy, and it was very, very difficult because you're trying to like ship everything before the launch date, right? So it's been very tiring. And then my art direction responsibilities had to go kind of into the background for a while because I was not like time wise and mental wise and physical wise able to do both. It just, the day has only a certain amount of hours, and we as people only have a certain amount of energy, and you kind of don't want to burn out. That is the worst that can happen to you, I think. But yeah, it's really about trying to yeah. I'm struggling as well, Juan, don't worry, there's two of us. But it's just trying to set up a certain hour each day for that, and kind of trying to stick to it. And when
just
maybe
don't sleep, don't go to bed, man.
no, I really no, that's not the way to do it, guys. Please do not put your personal life and health in the background for
what do you
your
mean?
career. It's not worth
food, sleep.
No. I'm a very big advocate for living first and then having a career. And I'm a workaholic, yeah, so that speaks a lot. But yeah,
that's
yeah,
okay.
trying to do a little bit each day is good. It doesn't have to be time breaking, heartbreaking, and having a good team and training your team to be able to work without you independently is a very good thing. That helped me a lot, that I have kind of trained everyone to know what to do when I'm not available, and how to find different work, and yeah, when I am not there, to give them support all the time.
That makes sense. But Juan, I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly, because
Juan Pedro Salvo.
I'm just assuming that's how I pronounce it. Also, I like how to pronounce it this way, because we're reaching the end of the stream, and our viewers go up and down. But as just because Juan asked the question, and as a reward, I will give everyone free access to my 1-hour time management masterclass in the chat for you to watch. It will help you with timer. It will teach you about health, eating, sleeping. It will teach you about mindset. It will teach you quite a few things. It's just a small masterclass. There is a hidden course I don't market, which is quite a few, which is pretty big, which is very specific when I share it. But that should give you an insight. And if that's interesting for you guys, let us know. Maybe we'll do more stuff in the future.
Yeah, very important. Take care of yourself, guys.
When it comes to time management, I'm pretty confident and good when it comes to time management. So is one of my friends who he has actually a calendar book now, because he got sick and tired of doing digitals. He writes down everything old school, and like me, he schedules everything. I don't know if he's as extreme as me in terms of scheduling Netflix time or gaming time. Like I schedule off time too. It's not random. So I schedule like when I'm doing things, when I'm taking a break. So it's kind of hardcore, but I also schedule. So you cannot be very impulsive with me. So if you call me and message me, hey, let's do this, I'm like, sorry, it's not on my schedule. So it depends on your personality and how important your priorities are. If you're a father, I would imagine time management is more important for you, but at the same time, it's difficult because kids, they don't listen to your schedule. They're like, screw you, daddy, don't want to listen to you. So I applaud you for the fact that you're doing what you're doing, Juan. I would not be able to do it with my skills regardless. So good job on that. I'm quite envious of people who do have kids and they're like doing amazing stuff and they're managing amazing things. So I don't think you should feel bad. I think you should be happy that you have the motivation, the mindset, and the drive to still do it. That's impressive. You're not really giving up, and that, I think, is very important. So keep that up. So with that, a little pep talk of the way. Kateřina, we're ending the stream, so give us 3 advices of anything you can think about before we end the stream.
All right. So as we said, please make sure you are having a nice personal and like home life with your career life. Second thing, make sure your portfolio is up to date at all times and the best you can be. And third thing, always learn. Keep learning. Learning is fantastic, and there's always stuff to learn.
There you go. She pulled it off. She pulled it off, even though she didn't know the question was coming. Very good. Thank you so much for your time. Just a reminder, we have another stream on Friday. I haven't made the banner because I'm busy with freelancing, and it's my birthday on Thursday, so I'm busy planning for that. So I will put it up eventually. I think I don't actually remember what the topic is, sorry. And then we have portfolio review, which Kateřina may or may not also join, so she might be giving you feedback as well. So please consider joining that on, I didn't add the date, which is fine. It's the 10th, I think I said it was 10th December or something.
Yes.
So that's next month. There might be more streams in between, but again, something's happening in my life, so I might cut down the streams before Christmas again. That's one of the reasons I'm really piling through 4 streams a week at the moment to get some more help content. If you're looking for work, please reach out. I'm always happy to help people. If you're looking for advice, ask Kateřina.
Yes, no. I was gonna say, if you have any questions about anything at any point, if you need more portfolio advice, more work advice in general, I'm always free to answer any questions on LinkedIn. Just message me, or on Twitter, even anywhere really where you can find me. I will be more than happy to answer any questions and give help.
Speaking of LinkedIn, Kateřina, on the right side, you see a private chat for us. If you post your LinkedIn there, I'll post it on the chat for you.
Yes, 1 second.
Sorry, guys, I'm very random. I don't really want to exhaust myself with too much planning, so I just go with the flow. I don't really have the energy. I'm too old. I don't know how old people think I am, but I'm getting old, so we just go with the flow. Okay, let's see. And I do appreciate everyone's support. It was a good attendance today, and
Thank you.
Thank you for streaming. Thank you, Great. Thank you, Juan, Filippo, and everyone else who is also quiet, but I know you're there. Here's Kateřina's LinkedIn. Please, connect with her. She's a friendly, jolly, positive person.
Thank you.
And quite knowledgeable and skilled, as you guys know from the conversation. She, similar to me, is a workaholic. She's similar to me, likes to help people and make sure people are doing good. So please, consider asking for her help, but also respect her time, right? So don't be doing silly messages like "help find me a job" or "what's the problem is." Take the time, write a good message if you seek her out.
Yes.
And do it properly. Don't do those. I'm gonna make a stream one day of all the messages I get, and I'm gonna blur it out, and I'm gonna explain you why I'm saying this. It matters how you contact people and how.
Yes, definitely. Be kind and put your message in very proper, sensible words. And we are also very busy people, even though we like to help out.
A quick tip before we end. This helps me a lot when it comes to really be taken seriously, because it takes not more effort, but it's different. So for those who don't know, LinkedIn does allow you to send voice and videos. So take a video of yourself when you send a message. You say, "Hello, thank you, I watched this, amazing, blah, 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 blah. I was wondering, blah, 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 blah." That is going to get you more than likely more attention and
I didn't know
reply.
you can do that.
than just doing doing a normal message, right? I get a lot of salespeople these days sending me like videos and custom stuff, and I think it's a smart choice. So that's a quick tip. If you don't have the feature, or if they turn it off, maybe it's pro feature, you can still send the videos and attachment and it will still show up. Make an effort. People notice, because typing is easy, and we don't really see your behavior. Show your personality, and people are, oh, I like this person. Or they might go, no, I don't like this person, but it's a double-edged sword.
And
So
please make sure you know who you are messaging. I couldn't count how many times I got a message about environment art or any kind of other art when I am not an environment artist, and I couldn't really help you all that much.
So there you have it. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I will talk to Kateřina a little bit in private to cool down, and because these streams are a good way for me to build more friendship as well. And I have some student sessions in about 20 minutes, so I'll go to that. But thank you again for watching. Again, appreciate your support. Please like, please subscribe, please recommend the channel. I do not monetize my channel at all, so there is not money in it for me except sweat and blood and lack of sleep and red eyes. So please, you can do that. Thank you so much. Have a good day.